Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
Well, good morning and welcome to Top Story, 7360300. Always the number to call. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
Here we are, all rested and ready to go for 3 whole days this week.
Our last three shows.
That's right.
That's it for both of us.
Right. Yep.
In case people didn't know.
We'll be gone.
They're changing the format.
So.
Our last 3 shows together.
Yeah.
Tell me everything that you feel about me. No. Let's share everything over the last 6 years.
Oh, my.
It's like having a divorce with your work husband. I won't see you every day. Now what?
Yeah, we'll have to have lunch once a month or so.
Yeah. Once a month, once a quarter, whatever.
Hey, we have coming up, we got Randy Staples. We're going to be looking back at some past stories some stories that have started that are still in the midst of being interesting. And one of them goes back to the 1980s and kind of what the future brings for those. So it should be interesting with Randy this morning. I mean, it's always interesting, but it should be especially interesting
This is the time
today.
of year everyone looks back.
That's
Actually,
right.
Tomorrow we're going to look back at some of our crazy stories that we've talked about.
That's right. And then Wednesday, we got a very special show. Not going to tell you any more than that.
Show.
Yeah, we'll have some special people on the show
Topo
that day.
Gijo.
Oh, Eddie.
Eddie.
Remember
we're going
that.
to have a very special show.
If you're
Somewhere.
under 45, you probably don't remember Topo Gijo.
No, maybe they saw clips on YouTube or something. Now you can find clips on everything.
I always liked the way he talked, though.
Topo Gijo.
Then at 9 o'clock, we have Chris Jones. He is the president of the local chapter of the National Federation for the Blind. So that's going to be very interesting. He is blind himself, and he's got a lot of stories to tell and kind of get us up to date on the National Federation for the Blind, and it should be very interesting.
That's right.
So we're looking forward to that. Yesterday afternoon, there was an accident on Pole Line Road involving a deputy with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department, and he was a canine deputy, meaning that he was a dog handler. And we kind of wanted to get you up to date this morning because they're still missing the dog.
I know.
So we have Captain Tim Miller with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office with us this morning. Good morning, Captain Miller.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jill and Kelly.
Hey, nice to have you here. So tell us what happened yesterday and what the status is with the missing dog.
The deputy was responding to an emergency call at the bridge a little bit before 6, and a vehicle pulled out from a stop sign in front of him, and he struck the car and ended up rolling the SUV that he had several times. And in the process of, once we got him stabilized and off in the ambulance, we went to get the dog out of the car, and he bolted out of our hands and took off running. And as you can expect, after being rolled around in a car, he wanted to be as far away from that car as he could.
Wow. And this was yesterday, and so you haven't found him yet.
No, we searched until 1 o'clock, and we called the search off just simply because it was being dark, you can't see much anyway. So
yeah.
So his officer was the one who was taken away, right?
Yes.
And hurt.
He suffered injuries to his hand, and he had surgery last night, got out about a little bit before 1.
So the injuries are not life-threatening then?
No.
Okay, very good.
So where was the dog running last time you saw it?
Well, we spotted him, deputy back out this morning at about 5, and they spotted him out at Meander Point, which is where Rock Creek and Snake River Canyon come through the subdivision out in that area.
And does he have is he have anything on, or is it just a German Shepherd, or what kind of dog is it?
He's a Belgian Malinois. We've only had him for probably about 2 months.
Wow.
Purchased him, got him out of Florida, and so he is still in training. He looks like a German Shepherd with short hair and very skinny. like he needs, some Ritalin to calm him down. So he's a very hyperactive type of police dog, which is nice for us, but having a little trouble catching up with him anymore.
Now, if someone in that area, in the Meander Point area, should spot him, what should they do? Can they call him, or should they even call him, or should they just call you guys?
The thing that we're recommending is that they go ahead and just let us know. Call our dispatch, call 911, let us know where the dog is, and try not to approach him. Like I said, he's very skittish right now, and when the deputies tried to call him last night, he just kept running. So what we'll do is do all we can and get enough people out here to try and round him back up.
Yeah. Well, are you there? Are you on the scene now?
Yep, driving around, looking. Like I said, the dog's very expensive, so we, and he's also a member of our agency and a member of the deputy's family, so we do take it to heart what want to take care of one of our own.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so if anyone should spot this dog, and you said it looks like a skinny, short-haired German Shepherd, just call 735-1911 or 911, I suppose, would work in this case, huh?
Yep, either one would work.
All right, very good.
Tim, do they wear any vests or anything like dogs do? Do you put anything on them, or is it just a collar and that's it?
This one just had a collar on. So when the deputy rolled his car, he had basically all the windows and everything blew out, so all the equipment and everything was laying in the road for quite a ways. And, he had a ballistic vest, but we don't put those on unless it's needed for the type of call.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll just be a normal dog with a collar,
Yep.
running.
Yes.
All right. Well, we got the word out there, so let us know if there's any updates on this, and we'll continue to spread the word, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this.
You bet. I'll give you a yell once you find it.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Captain
sir.
Miller.
Captain Tim Miller, Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. Wow, quite a deal, huh?
Well, that happens actually in normal accidents, You'll hear
Right.
that where they get in an accident, the person's taken away or killed, and their dog's just running loose, freaked out,
But most of them aren't police dogs.
No, I'm just saying that happens oftentimes in accidents.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah, it
sad. But anyway, keep a lookout for it. And only being here a couple months, probably it was just really freaked out, and it's cold. And
Yeah, and the thing of it is, around here, sometimes I know ranchers have a tendency to protect their livestock, which they have every right to do.
Oh,
and
God.
sometimes to do that,
Oh, no.
you want to pull out the 30-30 and
Please not
but
today,
Don't
okay?
do that this time, because this is kind of a
police
special
dog.
deal. Now, Meander Point, for those who don't know, it's if you go about a mile, I believe it is, west of the St. Luke's Hospital on Pole Line, and then you turn north down in there. Meander Point is a subdivision that's right on the canyon rim with the confluence of the Snake River and Rock Creek.
So near elevation. So if you go
it's
west,
way,
but if
west
you go
of there.
west of there, I mean,
Yeah.
that's if people are wondering where the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, well, everybody
Yeah.
knows where St. Luke's Hospital is, so another mile or two west of there,
Yeah.
and then north, that's Meander
So it's
Point
on the
area.
rim.
So if you see a skinny German Shepherd-looking dog running around with a collar on it, then call 911.
I wonder how they're going to catch it. It's pretty fast.
I don't know. I was wondering about that too, especially when you got a police dog that is kind of, I don't know, they're kind of sort of one-person dogs
Well,
anyway.
yeah, and
I
their
think.
person is, just got
Yeah.
out of surgery.
And
so.
this is a new dog, new training and everything, still under training. And
Poor officer
I would
must
think,
be freaking out.
push comes to shove, they could probably tranquilize it if they can get close enough and
I
get it
don't
that
know.
way. So,
Poor
but
thing.
anyway,
Keep your eyes out for that
yeah,
one.
interesting
That's for
stuff.
sure.
The officer's going to be fine. I guess he had an injury to his hand. It was Officer Stan Wiggins, I believe, with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department, who was in that accident. So our prayers and thoughts to the family, but it doesn't sound like it's life-threatening, so that's certainly good news as far as that's concerned.
What happened to the
The other person,
Polizzi?
I believe they took them to the hospital. I don't know the condition. It's my understanding that nothing is life-threatening.
All right.
The officer clipped his car, so I don't know that he was even all that much injured, but the officer's car is the one that flipped in
The
the road.
road.
So
Oh, my
they
goodness.
closed Pole Line Road for about 6 hours.
Whoa. Could you imagine that one?
But at any rate, moving on, we've got some other stuff. First of all, Christmas vacation was
How was
cool.
Christmas?
Yeah,
Did you
it was
have a
very
nice holiday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah?
nice.
Well, good. Yeah, we went.
Dad moved here from Boise.
Uh-huh.
So he's comfortably in his place now, and
Happy to be close.
He's tickled to death to be back home. And
How old is your dad now?
He is 97 years old.
My goodness.
He'll be 98 in May.
Oh, my goodness.
So if that means anything, I probably have a few years to go.
I don't know, Cal. You never. I hope so.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I can take it.
Yeah, no, it was nice, and we ended up getting a new member of the family yesterday.
That's what I understand.
By accident. Well, my neighbor, who we adore, she's an older woman who lives down the street from us, and she's like family. So she said one of her great nieces wasn't able to keep her kitten, who was 3 months old. And we found this out. We came back. She was watching our mail because we went to visit Tom's sister, and so we stopped on the way back on Saturday and said that the cat was in the dairy barn, and so he went to visit it. Now, this is a cat, 3 months old. That's a house cat that was found because it was like a torn up little kitten in a field. The girl nursed it back to health, and so it had it 3 months, and now it's been in this barn for like 5 days without anyone. And they had food and water, but my neighbor has 2 dogs, so it wasn't going to be inside. So we, of course, looked at the kitty, and then I went home. I had nightmares all night long. I said to Tom, we have to go get that cat. That's just terrible.
Yeah.
So Tom, my husband, who is a saint, so we went down there. I go, let's just look at it in the barn. And then we just took it home and had it ever since. And so Gracie's having a hard time. She was finally Miss Queen Bee, and Lizzie died. And now she's, was all happy and not living the life. And now we have this little urchin with us, and we can't name her. I don't even know what to name her. She looks like a combo of my cat Callie and Lizzie. So I'm just stuck. We don't even know what to call her.
Well,
I don't know.
Call her Cat.
Her name used to be Basil, which doesn't even make sense. And then my neighbor wanted to
Basil is a male's name.
I don't even know. It's like a plant. It's an herb.
It's not even a good dog's
name. It's an herb. What are you calling it a cat and herb for? And then Chris was calling her Holly because it was Christmas. So I don't know.
The poor cat has
identity
issues. Multiple personalities.
She has a therapy appointment at 10:30 today, along with us.
Oh, wow.
New member. We don't know what to call her, though. But she's cute.
Well, we got some more news to talk about, including another missing Asian jetliner. We'll be back.
Awful.
On Top Story. 736-0300, the number to call. 736-0300 was the number to call here on Top Story. Welcome back. And I wanted to take a couple of moments to talk about the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment. You've probably already gotten your chainsaw, or you might have gotten some money for Christmas. And you're thinking, what am I going to do with this money? Yeah, you could buy a chainsaw from Clearwater Power Equipment, a Husqvarna or an Echo chainsaw from Clearwater Power Equipment, and you could go out and start cutting down trees. You could go out and you could start cutting up firewood and selling it. This could be the beginning of a whole new industry for you.
You could be a firewood person.
Yeah, really, you could. I see people out there selling firewood, and if the winter continues to stay cool like this, people are going to need a lot of firewood because it's like 24 right now.
We went through a lot in Park City. I mean, it was.
I'll bet, yeah. You can really go through a lot.
Yeah, it was nice.
Because wood-burning stoves, fireplaces are nice to have going, especially during the holidays like this. But
I know.
A lot of people rely on it for heat.
Yeah.
And then their furnaces and stuff are used as backup. So,
yeah.
So, hey, it's Clearwater Power Equipment. They're where General Building Supply used to be, 252 Washington Street. Number is 734-7767. We got another missing airliner.
Oh, I know. This is so awful.
The latest is that rumors have emerged that the wreckage of the missing Indonesia AirAsia flight QZ8501 has been found, according to a UK Telegraph reporter. The paper's China correspondent Tom Phillips tweeted from Surabaya, Indonesia, that another press conference has been called for after Indonesia's National Search and Rescue Agency chief Oh, man, they got names here that I can't even pronounce.
Just give titles.
You're not going to know them anyway. Told reporters earlier today that the plane carrying 162 people on board had likely crashed in the Java Sea. So that's kind of the latest.
They found a couple oil slicks. They're going to take
they're
tests.
Investigating those.
But they haven't really found a lot. I mean, one said it's at the bottom of the sea. Well, I hate to be a skeptic, but that's what they said about Malaysian Airlines,
Yes,
and
yes.
they still have yet to find that plane.
Find anything.
And
anything
this one, it was in turbulence, but planes are made to withstand turbulence.
Yes, that is true. Now, the way this happened, the way I understand it, is the crew was flying at about 30,000 feet, and they radioed for permission to go higher, to go over a bad thunderstorm. Now, the way I understand it, when we talk about thunderstorms here, we talk about maybe a half to 3/4 of an inch in an hour's time. They are talking like a couple of feet in a day. So when they talk about, we have not a clue.
You're talking about rain.
Yeah, but the thunderstorms that they come from, I mean, they are just absolutely horrific, I guess. So the plane asked to go higher, and I guess was refused that permission. So if they tried to fly through that, I mean, that could have been
Well,
deadly.
what happened was they wanted to go up to 38,000 feet, but there was a plane at 34,000 feet. So they couldn't go right then. And that was the last they heard of them. They said, we want to go up. They said, you have to wait. There's a plane at 34,000. And then that was it. Done. They never heard from them again. So, I mean, these planes, they say, can withstand so much. It shouldn't have broken up.
Yeah.
And this guy had a lot of flying experience.
Yeah, 20,000 hours.
So, oh my gosh, I can't imagine being at the airport waiting for your loved ones.
I guess the reason this one is so noteworthy is because it's kind of the same but kind of different than the Malaysian MH370, which completely disappeared. I have a hunch that they'll probably find remnants of this one, because probably what happened, it probably did break up in the storm.
Well, that's disturbing.
So, yeah, it is. 7360300. Good morning. You're on
Good
Top
morning.
Story.
Good morning. I have a question. Google knows where I am all the time with my smartphone. Why don't we have something that can find this? And also, apparently, it's only the water where they crashed is probably only about 150 feet deep. That's half a football field.
Yeah.
So it's different than the 370. But
why? Yeah, right.
And they said it'd be very cheap to put some sort of location system on these things, but
right. Yeah, somebody was saying
ridiculous in this day and age, doesn't it?
Now there was some aviation expert that I was reading about this morning that said that very same thing. He said that it's really inexcusable for us with the technology that we have in this day and age to not be tracking all of these airplanes, especially the ones that fly over large bodies of water in kind of an isolated part of the world.
Well, right, because they said that some areas they don't have radar, because of the vastness. And I don't know. I bet also when you're on a plane, they tell you to turn your phones off.
Right.
So, I always turn mine off, don't you? They say put in airplane mode, which doesn't send out.
Whenever I'm on a plane, which the last time I was on a plane was in 2008.
That was before they patted people down.
And I just do whatever they tell me to do.
Well, you turn your phones off, and there you go. But I don't know. This is really sad.
Anyway, we'll be right back here on Top Story. We have Randy Staples coming up at 8:40, and then at 9 o'clock, we'll hear from Chris Jones, who is the local chapter president of the National Federation for the Blind, right here on Top Story. 7360300 was the number to call here on Top Story. Welcome back. And I know this is probably the last thing on your mind right now is irrigation. Irrigation for the coming crop season.
You're walking on it, actually, right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
you are.
frozen.
Absolutely. But there is a new way to irrigate. It's called Certiset. It's available at Farmore, Idaho. It's a pipe that strings out through your field. It's a flexible pipe. You put attachments on your equipment that lifts it up over the equipment and drops it to the back of the vehicle. And it's quite an achievement in technology. So if you are thinking of upgrading your irrigation system or just completely changing it, you want to look into this Certiset from Far More of Idaho. You can visit them online at farmoreofidaho.com, or you can give them a call at 324-3341 and ask them about Certiset. Here we got to talking during the break, and I thought, so what are we going to talk about now, But I guess this is it.
What?
The snowpack.
Oh, the snowpack's doing well.
Yeah, it is. Story today in the Times News. Farmers are looking forward to another good year. So far, it's good in most areas. Brad Bolin, who is a spokesman for Idaho Power, he tracks the state's water supply for the hydroelectric plants on the Snake River. And an unusually wet week across much of southern Idaho added to what started out as an average water year. So SNOTEL sites confirm that snow water equivalent, that's the amount of moisture in the snowpack, is now above normal for the mountains that feed into the Snake River.
Well, that's nice.
A snowpack above Salmon Falls Basin is 32% above normal. Goose Creek above the Oakley Reservoir is 43% above normal. The Big Wood and Little Woods are 26% and 17% above normal, respectively. Now, realizing this can all change.
Well, I was going to say, because I think it was last year we got early snow and everything, and then that was it.
That's actually not been that unusual anymore, is to get an early snow and everybody thinks, oh, wow, we're going to have a big winter. And then it kind of stops.
And it peters
and there's
out.
nothing, and then we're praying for rain in March.
I know it.
And but the snowpack in the Upper Snake Basin, which is where the Maggie Valley area, Twin Falls Canal Company, Northside Canal gets its water, is at 36% above normal. So things are looking better all the time. Water levels in the Upper Snake River system, including Jackson Lake, Palisades, Grassy Lake, Island Park, Ryrie, American Falls, and Lake Walcott, 64% capacity as of Friday. The 2.5 million acre-feet level is usually not reached until mid-February.
Wow.
So it's looking better.
Well, that's good. Let's hope it stays that way. That's what we always say. I like the snow. When we were down in Park City, it snowed 6 inches on Christmas morning.
No kidding.
Yeah, where we were, yeah. And
We
it was
probably
different
got-
where my sister-in-law lived. It was weird.
Now it was typical here on Christmas Day we had to cancel our big Christmas dinner because we lived down
Why?
a north-south lane and it kind of got drifted in and it was blowing and it was miserable.
Did they get a lot of snow?
And,
Or
not
just
that
the
much.
drift?
We got a couple of inches, but it doesn't take but a couple of inches and a 40-mile-an-hour wind to produce drifts.
So what happened? You didn't go to your mother-in-law's?
No,
Or
they
they're
didn't. They
supposed to
didn't
come
come
to
to
your-
our place. They were supposed to come to our place.
Do you realize how much food you
So-
had by yourself?
Well, we postponed it until Saturday, and
Oh, is that right?
everything is fine.
It was a
Saturday
Christmas
was
miracle.
a beautiful day. and
Okay.
A lot better than Christmas Day was.
Wow,
So
but it
was
kind
all
of feels like
salvaged.
the holiday that way, though. With the
Well,
snow
yeah, it kind
and
of
the fire.
extended the Christmas
Yeah.
holiday vacation too,
Nice.
Penny, you might say. But
Oh, nice.
but it's typical because I have a tractor with a front end loader, and 3 or 4 years ago I bought a snow blower
That's
for it.
right.
So the one opportunity that I had to the lane wasn't in bad shape, but it did have a couple of drifts that a car couldn't have gotten through. But I busted through that with a front end loader instead of hooking up the snow blower. So
And
on
they
the
still
one
couldn't
occasion
come?
that I had that I could use my snowblower, I didn't have it hooked up, and it was too cold and miserable, and I didn't want to hook it up, so I just busted
So
through
we
with a front end
canceled
loader.
Christmas.
We canceled
because
Christmas, that's
you
right.
didn't feel like hooking up your snowblower or your front end loader. Fine. It'll be easier to cancel Christmas.
Well, but what I was afraid to, because the wind was still blowing, I thought, well, I'll get this busted open, and then if we'll get everybody out here, and then it'll blow back in again.
Then they're trapped
And
in
then-
your house.
And then they're trapped at our house, and we'd have to put them up for the night. And it's like, no way.
Yeah, that's right. We're canceling Christmas instead. We did go see a movie, though. We did see Big Eyes. It was really good.
What's that about?
It was about the woman. Well, it was about those paintings, Keen paintings in the 60s. They had the kids with the really big eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it was a true story. I thought it was very good. Amy Adams was really good. A lot of people didn't see it. I think they went more for The Hobbit and things like that. The Interview, I guess, broke records online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
Because
showed
I heard that one didn't do so well.
Online, it said. So I don't know.
Well, if you can get it, can you get it for free online? Or?
No, I don't know, but they're playing it at Twin Falls Cinema.
Yeah.
If North Korea can find Twin Falls, Idaho, I'm pretty impressed. They got a better GPS than I thought.
We'll be right back with Randy Staples. And we're back. 736-0300 was the number to call, as always, here on Top Stories. 24 right now. A little chilly today. Not bad.
A little cold.
You know, as long as the wind doesn't blow, it's really not bad. I mean, it can
and
be
when does that happen?
It can be in the single digits. And
Between
if it's,
2 and 215. I'm telling you, especially where we live, it sounds like we're in the tundra. We have nothing to block it.
That is true. And actually, in the city, you don't notice the wind as much as when you're out in the country, because a lot of times out in the country, it can be blowing 15, 20 miles an hour, and you come to town, and it's as quiet as a mouse.
Yeah, except when you're in downtown with a lot of buildings, and the wind whips around the buildings. You know?
Yeah, that is true, too.
Yeah.
We have Randy Staples with us with the Idaho Political Update. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us on this final show of 2014.
And actually, our final show with you. This is it for us.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You knew I was leaving, I guess, but you probably didn't know Jill was leaving also.
They're changing the format,
No, I
Randy.
did not know that.
Yeah, so don't
anyway.
worry. Somebody will be in contact with you, I'm sure, to let you know what's going on.
Don't worry, Randy. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to just talk about some stories here being at the end of the year and such. You have an interesting column in that we have some stories going on in Idaho that started many years ago that are actually still going. One of those is the nuclear waste agreement that Governor Phil Batt had with the feds back in the mid-1990s. A lot of people were skeptical if the feds would be able to, and if they would maintain the schedule that they had to get all of the nuclear waste out of the state. So get us up to date on that, because this is something that has been ongoing for several years, but I think a lot of us kind of just forgot about it and weren't paying too much attention. So are the feds going to make the deadline? How are we going on that?
Well, the picture has kind of changed a little bit. There for a good number of years, of course, we're now talking about 20 years into this, and this was supposed to be a 30-year thing. That over the course of the 30 years that all of the waste would be gone and no more would be coming in. Well, of course, we've had glitches during that time with some waste coming in and various things happening, but a good deal of waste has been trucked out, but that's been falling behind with things that have been happening in New Mexico and Nevada, with shutdowns or blockages of some of the waste disposal sites. And so with that happening, that's kind of slowed things down in terms of moving things out in Idaho, and now it's begun to fall behind. And over the next few months, there's some expectation that they'll start to fall significantly behind. And that could be a very big story in Idaho.
So what are they doing with
it
this year? What are they doing with it right now then?
Right now, they're just not moving it out as much, or they're just not, or in some cases, they may not be moving it out at all.
So do
just
they
more or less staying there? Do
they have proper storage facilities, or what's going on? Because they had a problem with that before. So
yeah, there's some storage facilities there. There's and we'll probably be hearing some conflicting reports about just how good they are.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Weren't there some what do you call it? Some things that some.
Barrels, they'd put them in barrels and bury them.
If the feds,
that happened.
If the feds didn't get it out in time, there would be some repercussions. Was there any of that, or are we just kind of? Well, we're probably pretty much stuck with whatever the feds want to do anyway. But I mean, if they aren't out, if they don't reach their agreement terms by the end of the contract time, are they going to give us a bunch of money, or are they just going to say, well, we didn't get her done, so what are you going to do about it?
Well, there were financial elements to it that were supposed to kick in if the agreement terms weren't met. The problem, the real difficulty is when they signed that, they were looking 30 years out, and the feds could always say that, well, maybe we missed our target this year, but we'll make it up in the next couple of years. And eventually, you start to get to the back end of that, and the farther on you go, the less opportunity there is to really make any of it up. It becomes harder and harder to hit the targets that you wanted to hit.
You think they're going to make it?
Right now, unless something changes in New Mexico and Nevada, it doesn't look like they will.
So what are they doing? Are they rebuilding the storage facilities there so it's at least safe? Because I know when this all started, they had corroding barrels that were leaking into the ground, and it was really a mess.
Or did they get some new barrels?
Yeah. It was, and it's gotten a little bit better since then. They've improved some of those facilities. There's a little bit more of a spotlight on what they're doing. And I expect that we'll be hearing a little bit more about what some of those local options may be. And I imagine there will probably be some negotiations to try to store some of what remains out there locally in at least what we'll be told will be improved conditions.
Like, who would want to store that? You know what I mean? They're like, hey, we got some barrels for you.
But do we have any choice? What if we were just to say, well, in fact, didn't one of the governors, wasn't that Phil Batt, or one of them, or was it Andrus, I guess it was, saying, you know what? You're not going to bring that in anymore, and we're going to enforce that. And it stood up for a while, didn't it?
That was Andrus, yeah, and then Batt followed up on with a similar kind of stance and with taking and with negotiating with the feds on all of this.
So it looks like we're just kind of stuck now. They're going to push us around, and we're going to have to take it, and that's going to be it.
Well, we could be. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens over the next few months. But I expect that we'll be hearing a lot about it before very long.
So when you say over the next few months, are there further negotiations going on, or what's happening there?
Not so much quite yet, but it hasn't really blown up yet. There have been a few small news stories about things slowing down beyond where they should be. But people like the two former governors that we were talking about have been watching this, and I expect you'll be seeing statements from people like that as we go along.
We've had a lot of healthcare consolidations in the state over the past few years. You know, it used to be that all the doctors were independent and you went to your own doctor, and now it seems like all the doctors are working for one or two of the big health organizations like St. Luke's or St. Al's or one of those. Do you foresee this to continue?
It could be, but I think we're headed toward some major decisions on that. There was a big court case in the Boise area this last year, which was decided against the consolidation proposal, against a consolidation proposal. And we'll see what happens this year as the Court of Appeals takes it up. This was St. Luke's and a large doctors group in Nampa called the Salzer Medical Group. And St. Luke's acquired Salzer. And they were sued by a number of parties, including their competitor across town, St. Alphonsus, but also the state of Idaho and others. And the argument was that this is just too much consolidation, the kind of thing that you were just talking about, going too far. And St. Luke's, of course, argued that it was not going too far, that was what they needed to do to hold down costs. But the debate over this is I think probably accelerating. The consolidation has hit a point where I think a lot of people are becoming more and more aware of it, and it's becoming more and more thorough. There are fewer doctors, fewer medical facilities that are kind of outside the large consolidated units, and so it really hits a point where you have to ask when monopoly starts to kick in.
Well, it seems like, and they said it was to, keep costs steady. However, I found out recently that the Magic Valley has the highest healthcare costs in the state, the highest. So, so anyway, that it's doing nothing but just when you have a monopoly, that's what happens. And you hear that from anyone who, used to go there before, and now it's the cost of
that's what tends to happen actually whenever you have a monopoly that's unregulated. You have Idaho Power, which is essentially a monopoly, but it's tightly regulated, and it can't raise its costs beyond a certain level. And as a result, Idaho Power, largely because of where it gets its power, has low rates. But if you have a monopoly that is more or less left to its own devices, then it can charge whatever it thinks it can get away with.
And in that, it's hard to negotiate. When you're having a heart attack, you don't sit there and go, is there anywhere else I can go? Where's the price better? They sort of have you. So
you really it really is in a lot of ways. If you're sitting there in the emergency room
right.
and you have a serious condition, it really is kind of your money or your life.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
And then if you even ask them for how much would this procedure cost, they usually say, I don't know. So,
Yes,
yeah,
and
which
then
always
you
is helpful.
then you wind up with all sorts of bills afterwards that you never expected.
Right.
I think a lot of us have either been through the situation personally or we know someone who has.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We've got an education policy in the state that's been kind of changing in the past. We kind of are coming out of an era with Tom Luna, and after a couple of terms there, we kind of know where we stand now. We're kind of going into an unknown area with Sherry Ibarra. What do you see as far as education in the state here in the future?
The immediate driver may be the legislature and whatever they want to do, but they've often taken in the last few years, they've kind of started with or bounced off from wherever the superintendent Tom Luna was coming from and what he proposed to do. That may be a little bit of a different situation, but nobody really knows right now what Sherry Ibarra may be doing when the legislature comes in. It's very unclear. What exactly is she going to be proposing in her budget items? What is she going to be fighting for, if anything in particular? We don't really know right now. It's kind of a wide open situation and pretty unusual in the state. Usually, going into a legislature sitting where we are, we have a pretty good idea of where the leadership is coming from, and right now that's hard to know.
Well, especially with the majority of your budget going towards education. You
Yeah.
know, she really should get off her silent tour and maybe start talking.
She's going to have to before long.
Yeah.
She's going to have to. Oh well, I suppose she could theoretically refuse to appear before the legislature, but I don't imagine that's too likely.
No.
When she does, she will be subject to a lot of questions from legislators at budget committees, at the education committee, and other places. And we will probably start to hear some more specifics then anyway. At that point, too, though, she'll have staff that will be in place, and they will probably be weighing into this alongside her. And so it may be something that kind of develops over the course of the next 2 or 3 months, but we'll probably see a whole new education outlook and regime of some sort or another that'll be just sort of developing before our eyes.
One of the last items we'll have time to talk about here, I guess, is we've had the Snake River Basin adjudication. That's been going on for years here in the Magic Valley area with Southern Idaho water rights. They recently, I guess, closed that court, and I thought that was kind of the end of it. But now they're going to be doing adjudications in other parts of the state. So what's that all about?
Right. When the SRBA court was set up in Twin Falls, it was set up just to do that adjudication. Later on, as the Snake River adjudication wound up and started to move toward its conclusion, the Supreme Court began to realize a few things, that there are periodically appeals from the State Department of Water Resources that go to courts, and they've usually gone to scattered courts around the state. Now they're all going to be directed toward this one court rather than here or there, because there's some expertise there. The other thing that's happening is that the Panhandle it already has some adjudications ongoing up there, and the same court that's based at Twin Falls will be handling that. And there may be an adjudication on top of that in the Bear River in the far southeast of Idaho that may be going on a few years down the line, and that the same court would be handling that. So it's still got a fair amount of business taking place, not in the volume that the SRBA had, but there's still a good deal of water activity going on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've just gone, we're 4 or 5 of the stories that started some time ago and are still in the middle. We sometimes have a tendency to forget those and just concentrate on
the latest
stories and such. But Randy, certainly want to tell you that it's certainly been a pleasure to have you on the show. for the last few years, and we look forward
Always
to
enjoyed it, Randy.
running
Thank
across
you.
you every once in a while.
I have always enjoyed it too. I'm sorry to see that these Monday morning get-togethers with you coming to an end, but I suppose all things do eventually.
Yeah, well, and I can't say that your part will come to an end because it just all depends on the new host. So, but with us, yeah, it'll be the end. But
we wish you the best, Randy.
Yeah, and if you're in the area, look us up. We'll go to lunch.
We'll do that.
All right, thanks, Randy.
Take care, Randy. Thank you
Thanks
for all
a
your
lot
help.
now.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Randy Staples from Reidenbaugh Press at reidenbaugh.com. And coming up, we have Chris Jones. He'll be talking about the National Federation for the Blind. And welcome back to Top Story, 7360300. Always the number. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal. Same to you.
25 right now. Trying to snow.
It's getting warmer.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little snow today. I don't even know what's in the forecast.
They say it's 20%, which
20%.
means it will definitely snow.
Yeah. Well, when I was coming in around 5, a little before 5 this morning, I could see a snowflake in the headlights every once in a while. You know, so if it continues to snow at that rate, it's going to be a while before it covers the ground.
I would say.
Yeah, so at any rate, we have with us this morning a gentleman by the name of Chris Jones. And Chris is the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind. And that's one of the largest organizations of blind people in the country. And yes, Chris is blind. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that I hesitate to call it this, but it is what it is. I have a fascination with the blind because when I was a youngster in my preteens, I took organ lessons from a gentleman in Twin Falls by the name of Jay Hill. And he taught organ and piano. He was totally blind, had his seeing eye dog. He taught the lessons in the basement of the music center. Back then, it was Helen's Record Shop. It's been the music center. I think it might even been the music center as far back as that. But,
you're kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So, and I had total admiration for the man because there was nothing that he couldn't do that that anybody would do. And so since then, and he gave me some information back then. I read a book about how they taught their and raised and taught their seeing eye dogs back in, I think it was Tennessee or someplace like that, and Morristown, New Jersey. That's where it was. Okay. Yeah. And so anyway, with all that said, Chris, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in. We want to get into a little bit of background on you. Where are you from? And you are now the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind. How did you get involved in that?
My wife, Judy, is also blind, and we actually moved here first from 85 to 89. And ironically, I, at that point, worked as a rehab counselor for the Idaho Commission for the Blind. Now my wife is working as a vocational rehab assistant for the Idaho Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. So we've changed roles. I retired a while ago from a job at a technical college, Clover Park Technical College in Lakewood near Tacoma, Washington, doing disability support services and that kind of stuff. We've been off and on involved at the National Federation of the Blind for many, many years. As far as being involved as an officer at the local chapter, for a while I was around it, but I just didn't make the plunge, and I recognized that there needed to be some leadership and was willing to serve. So that's kind of where we are now. We have meetings every second Monday of the month, and in January it'll be, I believe, the 12th is the correct date, at Idaho Joe's, and we usually have the banquet room from about 5:30 to 8:30, and our meetings usually go from about 6 to 7:30ish, maybe 8 at the max.
In the morning or evening?
In the evening.
Okay.
And anyone is welcome to come. So the federation itself, and within the past year, has developed a new motto, and the motto presently is, and I'm reading this: the National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day, we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back. And I think that's a pretty succinct estimation of what we are. The organization started in the 1940s, and actually in Idaho there was a Gem State Blind about 5 years, a state organization prior to that. So the state is celebrating our 80th birthday, and the national organization is celebrating its 75th at this point. So that's kind of locally what's going on. We've got maybe 12 or 13 members. And we're always looking for more. We don't have lots of money to just kind of help people with eye stuff and this and that. More to the point is our organization is grassroots, and we get involved in civil rights kinds of actions. We have 30 national scholarships and about 2 state scholarships that are given out per year for deserving students. So that's just a thumbnail of what we are and what we do.
And how do people get the scholarships? Do they have to? How do they enter? What qualifies
You basically
them?
need to apply. If you're legally blind, you can get on our national website, which is nfb.org, and find out more information. And at the close of the program, I can certainly offer my phone number and stuff, and y'all are welcome to give it out.
Very
Okay,
good.
great.
Now, this fascinates me. You have a box hanging around your neck.
Yeah, I do. It looks kind of weird.
Tell me what that is.
This is called a Braille Sense U2. It's a Braille access device, but it's kind of that on steroids. It's kind of a mobile device, so it's similar to a Palm Pilot, I guess. I'm not as techie as my wife is, but you can get onto email and Facebook and get onto Google and YouTube and stuff like that. It's not exactly a computer, but it's closer to a Palm Pilot. So a lot of technology has changed from when I went to school years and years and years ago.
Oh, I bet.
So you can surf the web with that?
I can somewhat, yes. And honestly, Kelly, I end up doing that more with computer than I do with this. I need to keep growing technologically, and I confess that before the audience, but both of us use Braille, and a lot of people are afraid of Braille. And let me just pitch for Braille for a minute. If you can't read print well and you can't read Braille, you're functionally illiterate if you're low vision. And a lot of people get offended when I say that, but Braille really can open up a lot of vistas of opportunity. You can get stuff off the net. You can get what we call web Braille and just pull in books into a device or from a computer, and you can read books that way instead of having to read hard copy Braille. But being able to read if you're losing your vision is crucial. We also have, through the NFB, we also have access to Newsline for the Blind, which incorporates lots of newspapers all around the world. So there is a lot of information on the website, nfb.org, that people could take a look at.
One of the things that I remember with Jay Hill is I went down to their print shop one time, and they gave me some Braille samples. One of them was, I don't know, it must have been about 11 by 14 inch booklet. It was about an inch thick, and it was like part 1 of 4 parts of the Reader's Digest. It was all Braille.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do they still have that? I guess, is the Reader's Digest still in business?
I'm sure it is.
Or at least similar publications.
It's not like there isn't hard copy Braille around, but more and more people are trying to get stuff online, and it's a lot easier way to get access to that.
Okay.
If you were losing your eyesight and you wanted to learn Braille, where would you go to take classes?
Initially, I would really highly encourage folks to contact the Idaho Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. The NFB has 3 of its own rehab centers nationally. We've got one in Colorado, one in Minnesota, and one in Louisiana. And the difference, the local stuff that the Commission for the Blind does is very good. The rehab centers that the NFB runs are run by blind people. Certainly there are sighted folks who work there as well. But the philosophy of the National Federation of the Blind is with equal training, blind people ought to be able to do pretty much whatever they want to do.
Okay.
I mean, no, we can't drive trucks and airplanes and cars and that stuff yet, but there is technology that's being created and continue to upgraded, so that at some point we probably will.
Well, when they talk about cars being able to drive themselves, that would be a great way. It would scare me to death to have a car, but it might be great, for someone who can't see.
Well, we used to have, I want to say it was a few years ago, and I'm not remembering the date, but if you get onto YouTube and you Google or you check into the Blind Driver Challenge, you'd be able to see our national president now. His name is Mark Riccobono, and we have a national office in Baltimore, Maryland, and he actually drove a car that they specially modified so that there were sensors in the back of him and all over the place, so he could tell there were some boxes and stuff in front of him. And he was at, I want to say it's the Daytona 500 at the halftime kind of portion, and he actually successfully drove a car around objects and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Very cool. So it's just a matter of time, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's great.
About how many? You said you had 12 to 13 members. Are all blind people in this area members of your group? Or?
No, we have primarily our people are senior citizens. We have maybe one or two younger people. We very much would be ecstatic to be able to reach out to some younger folks, be they partially sighted, legally blind, whatever, and people that are dealing with issues like diabetes or whatever else. Macular degeneration is a frequent cause of blindness and stuff. And a lot of people when they get older kind of think, well, my life's almost over anyway. What the heck? What am I going to do? But there are certainly folks who realize when they understand the tools that are available and what they can do for themselves and what they can learn. I want to be able to read. I want to be able to keep my phone files. I want to be able to keep my recipes. I want to keep doing what I used to do, and I'm not just going to be put in a position where I can't do anymore. So, for those people, I would encourage them to contact us. So that we can support them and help them find out about, work together again with the Idaho Commission for the Blind and NFB. I mean, we've done lots of stuff together. The NFB has certainly supported legislative options for the agency. We've also done some advocacy work for the Idaho Educational Service District for the Deaf and Blind in Gooding, and so certainly we do whatever we can to try to help folks know what the agencies are and what the supports are out there for them.
So if someone has a child who was born blind and you kind of freak out because you don't know what to do, they should contact.
Absolutely. Yeah, feel free to contact us.
Okay, great.
We have a break coming up, and I'd like to keep you for a bit because I would like to kind of go into your background to see what your situation was and your wife's and how you met. It's just kind of interesting to me.
Sure.
But for those who want to contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
My direct phone number is area 208-308-8876. If you want to email me, that would be lowercase CLJ, the number 1, at cableone.net.
All right, very good. Well, we'll be right back with Chris Jones. He's a blind individual, and he is the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind in Idaho. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call. We'll be right back. And we're back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And we have Chris Jones with us, who's the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind. Before we get back to Chris, I just wanted to say that Friday's $100 instant winning name, which is brought to you by the Happy Landing Restaurant, which I must say,
Kelly's
I was out there
restaurant?
yesterday.
Yesterday? It's not even Thursday.
I had their ground, well, it's a hamburger steak breakfast. Oh my gosh, it is to die for.
So I'm going to ask you, I guess the tooth is doing okay, or lack thereof.
Yeah, it is.
The hole has healed.
My tooth was pulled last Tuesday, and by Wednesday I was eating that the dentist. He's more than a dentist. I know he's got all kinds of letters behind his name, and I don't know what they mean. But anyway, he did a fantastic job. I was
another Christmas miracle. You were able to eat.
Exactly, I was able to eat Christmas dinner without.
I know you were worried.
Without slowing down, you might say, and we had ham too. So at any rate, the Happy Landing Restaurant. Tell them that you heard about it with Kelly and Jill. And if you're a first-time visitor there and you purchase a drink or a meal, they'll give you a piece of homemade pie.
There you
And
go.
it is
How
very,
nice is
very
that?
good,
Doesn't that
homemade
sound
pie.
good, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't like homemade pie?
I had a piece of coconut cream pie there a couple of weeks ago, and it
Aw.
was to die for, I tell you.
Aw.
So, Friday's $100 instant winning name is Robert Bowman. By the way, the Happy Landing restaurant is at the Twin Falls Airport.
Robert Bowman, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is end.
End.
E-N-D.
End
End of the year.
the year.
You have until midnight tonight to go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on Word of the Day, type in end, and you could be a $100 instant winner.
That's how easy that is.
Yes, indeed. Chris Jones, again, is our guest this morning. He's the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind. Chris, how did you become sightless?
I was born 2 months premature. My wife, Judy, is also blind. She was born 3 months premature, which as a result of that, we were put in incubators. And the oxygen or the degree of oxygen messed up our optic nerve, which is
really?
the nerve that tells your brain what your eyes see. And so that's basically what happened to us. Both of us grew up going to schools, public schools for the most part. My wife went to a Colorado school for the blind and to public schools. I actually integrated Winter Park High School in Winter Park, Florida, near Orlando, and was the first blind student to graduate from there in 1970. So,
Well, you and I graduated in the same year.
okay.
Way to go.
So it was quite an experience. I remember my dad was Army, her dad was Air Force, and my mom, when we moved to Paris, France in '61, I was pitched ahead from the last half a third to the first part of fourth grade, and they took a Braille math book overseas with me, and my mother, who had learned how to Braille in San Francisco the year prior, Brailled everything else I needed. So
Wow.
that was my parents' commitment to my education, and it was
How did
significant.
you and Judy meet?
Oh man, well, to make it as short as I can,
I know, it's only a few segments left, Chris.
both of our parents were colonels. One was my dad was Army, my father-in-law was Air Force. They found out they both had blind kids, and so we had at that point we're living in Frankfurt, Germany, and they were in Würzburg, Germany, and so Judy, my wife now, and her mom came to see what was going on. Well, all we had was a big room where first through 12th grade kids were. We had a resource teacher there and some Braille books and some Braille writers and some stuff, but we really didn't get a lot of real serious education going on there. So Judy was going to a German school for the blind at that point, and she continued to stay there. But we met each other, figured we had a lot in common. Long story short, we ended up leaving for the States before they did. I lost touch with her, found out where she was, of all places in Cheyenne, Wyoming, when I moved there in the 70s, and got in touch with her, and she was teaching school in Kansas, teaching Spanish and German in a rural school system, and I got in touch with her, and we stayed in touch, called and wrote and called, and she moved down to Florida where I was, and in another year we were married, and so the rest is history. We've been married now for 34 years. We have 2 kids in Washington State, 2 daughters. I always tell people daughters make you pray more. And so
True. Are they both seeing?
Yeah, they both see.
Nice.
Sure.
Is that hard though, raising kids when you can't, like a baby, when you can't see? Because they can get into so many things, and it seems like it would be more challenging.
We were really, really blessed to meet a blind couple before we had some kids, and they really helped to encourage us. It wasn't that we didn't want them, but there were just extra little things we would do. For example, when the kids were really, really little, we would put bells on their shoes. Things like that. We'd always use hand holders. We'd always do things like that because we knew that there were a lot of people who think if you're blind, I used to tell my students when I was working at Clover Park Technical College, most people think if you're blind, you're either amazing or stupid. And they'd kind of look at me. I could tell they were looking at me. I said, no, I know I said that. But I'm serious, and I'm not offending folks. You just got to be honest about where that is and help people to move around past that if they choose to. So,
right. Well, Chris Jones is our guest this morning, president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho. And we will be right back here on Top Story. Questions or comments, 736-0300, the number to call. 736-0300, the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We have a caller waiting. We got Chris Jones here with us. Been an interesting morning. Also wanted to tell you about the folks at Canyon Pond. Now, I realize that Christmas is over now, so you got some of that Christmas money. So why not take it down to Canyon Pond, maybe purchase a new or a used gun, maybe some camping supplies, woodworking, fishing stuff, tools, anything that they have at a pawn shop. You'll find it at Canyon Pond. It's Twin Falls' newest and Twin Falls' cleanest pawn shop. And both Jill and I have been there, so we can speak knowledgeably
From personal
about that.
experience.
Yeah. And it's a fun store. You know, you go in today and you got certain fun things there, and you go in tomorrow and they got new stuff.
I know. It's always changing.
It's changing every day.
Always changing.
They're on Shoshone Street across from Will's Toyota and 3rd Avenue South. That's the corner that they are on in the old Vickers Western store.
Oh, my
Can't
goodness.
miss it.
Someday it might be just used to pawn shop. But anyway, hey, there is some breaking news. It said the objects in oil spotted in search for AirAsia jet was not related to the crash, official says.
Deja vu all over again. Huh?
I know it, huh?
Wow, that's weird.
And then I think, how many objects in oil do we have in our waters?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of oil slicks in the ocean, doesn't there?
But it's not from this. Oh, goodness.
Well, Chris Jones is with us this morning. He, again, is the president of the Central Idaho chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho. And we have a caller. Top Story, and you are on the air with Chris. Good morning.
Good morning. Chris, thank you for your program, Kelly and Jill. My wife is blind also, and she's right now cooking French toast with 3 little grandsons, 7 and 8, on down to 2-year-olds by herself. Yeah, it's the can-do attitude.
That's right.
We travel. It's amazing how she can, the can-do attitude.
Yep, that's right.
You don't feel sorry for yourself. You step up. You buy nice clothes. You take care of yourself. You clean your house. It's amazing how the grandsons, which we have 5, they all eventually know the grandma's got no good eyes.
Wow, yeah.
Yet she sees everything.
Say again, Jill.
I said, but she sees everything. They can't get away with murder,
Absolutely.
though, can they?
And Jill, can you imagine a little squirming 1-year-old or less changing diapers, poopy diapers, as we call it?
No.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is
and
amazing.
They get away, I'm naked, Grandma, and then they off run.
Now, was she born blind?
She is not. She's got retinitis pigmentosus. 3 out of her 6 family were blind, so they kind of compare notes and work together, and with family issues and different, how to challenges.
Wow.
Life's a challenge, as but it's a challenge in a different with everybody.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for sharing. That's
Tom,
very
also,
nice.
I want to offer my condolences, and I know you know what I'm talking about.
Well, yes. Thank you very much, Kelly.
All right,
and it's
Tom.
family and friends.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, we'll see you out at the Happy Landing one of these days.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
You bet.
Happy New Year. All right.
Happy New Year.
I know him, in case you were wondering.
Clearly.
So, yes, indeed. So, at any rate, well, there you go. See, it's and I often have. There are some people who have handicaps, but they really aren't handicaps. They're just you just find a way around them and you go on. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that's what this is like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd be happy to try to help anyone out. Whatever I can do to serve in any way at all. Feel free to get in touch with me anytime, day, night, doesn't matter.
You told an interesting story, and we got about a little over a minute left yet, but an interesting story about when your kids were small and you had some friends come over.
Oh, yeah. My wife reminded me of this. Basically, my oldest daughter was there, and we had 2 sighted folks come over for dinner, I think it was, or something. And my daughter, my eldest daughter, Jada, asked my wife, why don't they have canes or guide dogs or anything? How do they get around? How do they do what they do? And she's like, well, no, they're sighted. They don't need to.
That's amazing.
So it was kind of crazy.
The kids just thought all this time that everybody had
more or less
sight dogs and stuff. We got another caller. Top story. You're on the air with Chris Jones. Good morning.
Good morning. I just have to say I got married in the Philippines in February, and I met a lawyer from Geico who was over there at the time, who was completely blind, a lawyer for Geico.
Wow.
There you go.
That's great.
And it was absolutely amazing. I've been through law school, and I graduated, and I knew it took a lot of reading, and I said, how'd you do that? He said, it's like text-to-speech programs.
Wow.
The text would read it to him. When he answered his email, he'd just put it up to his ear and check his email, and the text-to-speech would do it. And he was retiring probably at about 45 years old to go over there.
My goodness.
As a lawyer from Geico.
Wow.
Well,
there
we've
you go.
had a famous lawyer in town, Harry Turner, who was a judge in Idaho, and back in the day,
a member of the Idaho legislature.
And he's part of my Rotary Club, and I admire him greatly. Chris, give out your information real quick.
Okay. Phone is 208-308-8876. Email is clj1@cable1.net.
Chris, thank you very much. It's been fascinating talking to you.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And give your wife our best.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Is there any update on the flight other than
just that mystery? Where is it?
The debris they found in the water is not related, apparently.
Not related. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. I can't believe it.
And those poor families.
Wow. I know. It's heartbreaking. And right here during the holiday period, it's just...
I know.
Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that to see how that progresses. And we do have a caller. Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jill. Morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
My mom knew Harry Turner and some of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes that one night he was the designated driver coming back from Sun Valley.
I believe it. If anyone knows Harry, I believe it.
And he does listen to the show, so he might hear you.
Harry.
So somebody maybe can confirm that, but that was a story my mom told me many, many years ago.
I do know he does pull his car out in the driveway, and I'm like, oh no. But he's a great guy, and he's accomplished a lot, and it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Yeah, that's right.
With any handicap.
He was was it a magistrate judge or what was it? Justice? Yeah, I guess he was.
He was a judge. He's an attorney. He still practices today. He still goes to the office.
Yeah, wasn't he for a term in the Idaho legislature, or at least ran for the legislature?
Well, that's before my time, but I think so, probably.
Sure.
And we are friends, much to his chagrin. I know I love Harry, and he always says, Joe, I don't know why I like you. You're a liberal from Massachusetts, but I do. And I feel the same about Harry. He's one of my favorite people here.
Yeah. I don't know. I seriously, I have had a fascination with the blind ever since I was young because of my experience with my organ teacher.
Well, it's amazing. Well, my sister actually teaches sign language, so I've been around a lot of deaf people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I learned when I was a kid the alphabet, the hand alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I was going over it with my grandson over the Christmas break. He's 11 years old, and he knows it too. So
it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's just different ways of communicating.
Well, it is. It's amazing, but it's hard to drive with the deaf because they like to look at you because they can't talk.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
always turning around. You're like, no, look at the road. You're killing me. They like to look over their shoulders.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyway.
Well, at any rate, just one more item here I wanted to mention before the end of the show. There was a story today in the UK Telegraph, and here's how it starts. It says, young people, and this says in Britain, but it is actually not just in Britain. It is in, I think it's worldwide. Young people become a lost generation who can no longer mend gadgets and appliances because they have grown up in a disposable world.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel George, professor of RF engineering at the University of Manchester, claims that under 40s expect everything to just work and have no idea what to do when things go wrong. And you have no idea how many times I run into this all the time. You turn on the light bulb pops out. There are some people who don't have a clue what to do.
I know it. It is kind of the younger generation.
It is.
My husband, he can fix about anything, but that's the generation that could. They're like,
That's
give me some
right.
tools.
That's exactly
I can
right.
figure it out.
And let
And
me-
you're like, okay, I feel comfortable. This man knows what's happening.
That's right. And I think a lot of that, because we are going away at a rapid pace of a rural society. And back in the day, many years ago, when Tom and my generation were kids,
Yeah.
many of us came from the farm.
Right.
And when you're on the farm, you become a gardener, you become a mechanic, you
Right.
become an electrician.
It's true.
It's just through practice, because you have to be, because on the farm, you deal with these things every day, and you can't afford to call or even wait for an electrician and a welder and all this. You learn how to do it yourself.
Right.
And nowadays, when everything that we buy at the store, it used to be you buy a TV set, and it quit working, you take it to the TV repairman.
Yeah.
I know we have one or two in town that can still work on them. But most people, if the TV stops working, they just throw it in the trash and go get another one.
It's
you don't think
sad.
about taking it to a TV repairman
Or
anymore.
you'll hear them say, well, it's going to cost more to fix it than it is to buy a new one.
That's
You
true,
hear
too.
that all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes the older things are better and they just last longer and they were made to last.
That's right.
So, I like having my 2001 Ford Escape. People can still fix it. It's not this computer. It costs you thousands
right.
of dollars.
Well, I think your
know.
Ford Escape probably does have a computer in it, but
Well, not like where you have everything computerized, where you have to, fix
Yeah.
it, take it all off, take everything off. It still has
Yeah.
parts. You can lift it up and
Yeah.
fix it.
But it is a sad part of our society, in that when you get into a fix, you might say, or something breaks down, fewer and fewer of the younger people know what to do about it. Now, on the other hand, if your computer is messing up, then probably more and more of the 5-year-olds can fix that.
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
software related or
Get your
something.
grandchildren.
But as far as hardware, as far as pulling out a printed circuit board,
I
finding the
know.
bad component, unsoldering it, putting in a good component, putting it back in and have it work again, that kind of stuff is in
Yeah.
the past. I just, that it's the older generation that does that, and once it dies off, everything is nobody will be able to fix anything. I don't know
Right.
what we're going to do.
I don't know.
So,
We'll just sit there
anyway,
and cry
I
and
thought
go,
that was-
what?
I thought that was an interesting article
I
with
think
a
it's
lot of
very
insight
true.
on that. And it is scary. It's very scary.
It's just.
In fact, one of my better satisfactions in life is taking something that's broken and fixing it.
Well, my friend
and-
Bonnie, her dad was an electrician. She could fix anything.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there
way
you-
to go,
see there?
Bon. She learned from her
Exactly.
dad.
Well, hey, it's time now for the Huckabee Report, and that is brought to you this morning by Waddell & Reed. Give them a call. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. We haven't talked yet about the Lowen Honey Loader
No.
from Stanley and
But we
Company.
should.
We should, and I'm here to do that right now. So right about now, I'm guessing that the manure on the big feedlots or dairies is
I
there's probably
think it's frozen.
it's two-state. It's liquid and it's frozen. Okay, there's
and
no
it's
in
cracking.
between. That's
It's
right.
You could break
Yes.
it right
yes,
now.
Yes. So, if you need something to pick this stuff up and take it where it belongs, you want to consider the Lowen Honey Loader from Stanley and Company. Pat Hartzell is the guy to talk to if you want to see how these operate before you plunk your money down.
That's right.
He can set it up so you can see one of these in operation at one of the local feedlots or dairies that has one of these in operation. And his number is 280-1167. And, if nothing else, you can call up Pat and say, hey, Kelly and Jill said to call you up and wish you a Happy New Year.
That's right.
280-1167. And if you want a Lowen Honey Loader, want to look into it, he can help you there.
That's right. That's customer service for you.
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We tried something new this Christmas. The parents and the children, I guess you might say, we bought games.
Yes.
And then we wrapped them up, and then we drew names.
Yes.
And then whoever, pulled the name, they got the present. So we got the games distributed that way. See, I got a Scrabble game.
Did you guys then play it?
No, we didn't have time.
What? You all got games and no one could play it?
I know, but we're going to. But,
yeah,
but
okay,
see,
for New Year's.
But the gist of the whole deal was that instead of buying presents that, nobody even remembers who they got them from, we'll buy games and stuff so that when we do get together, we can play the games and we can spend time together. We can put our phones down and our tablets down, and we can play games.
Communicate and talk.
I love to play Scrabble. As long as the words aren't over one syllable, I'm good to go,
I love Scrabble. Whenever my mom comes, she loves Scrabble.
And it came with the book of all the legal Scrabble words. So
Thank you
can't get away with, oh, yeah, fleeblehobble. That's a word. Yeah, that's a word.
Or a name, or a proper name.
Double word score, 92 points on something you never heard of. They can't get away with that anymore.
No.
So
No.
anyway, looking forward to that. That's going to be fun playing.
Yeah,
those games.
you have a lot of time to play. Maybe I'll come over. We'll play Scrabble together,
Sounds
Kelly.
good. We'll go to lunch.
So
I'll bring my Scrabble game.
Yes.
We'll spend the afternoon at the restaurant playing Scrabble.
That's right. They'll say, look what happened to you two. What happened?
The only worst thing would be playing checkers, I guess. But at any rate. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Less thinking.
We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Steve Millington with the Twin Falls Republicans tomorrow. And who else did you say?
Beth Swenson from the Twin Falls Public Library. She's always fun to have on.
Yeah, so we'll have that, and then we'll go back over some stories that happened while you and I have been doing this show. So
that stood out to us.
That stood out. Yes. Like the Nazi snowman is one thing that comes to mind.
Oh, don't blow it, Cal. There's never a hook with you, is there?
We'll see you tomorrow on Top Story.